Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. This is the NPRQI monthly forum. I am joined by a few of my colleagues today, Casey Patika and Dr. Sonia Desai. And we're so glad that you all joined us for this interactive discussion. Today, we're going to be covering the topic on the importance of data and data sampling. We're going to go ahead and dive in. Just a few acknowledgements before we get started. The EMSC and NPRQI are supported by the Health Resources and Services Administration with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Today's presentation are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent, nor are they the official views of HRSA, HHS, or the U.S. government. NPRQI is also supported by the Toyota Way Forward Fund. NPRQI is housed at the Dell Medical School at the University of Texas at Austin. University of Texas IRB has been reviewed in full and determined that the project is exempt from human subject research. So I did want to hand it over to my colleague, Casey Patika, who is going to be sharing some information about the importance of pediatric readiness.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we did want to spend some time discussing an important topic in emergency care, and that's pediatric readiness and quality improvement. Go to the next slide. So here's a surprising fact. 85% of children who need emergency care are treated in general emergency departments, not in pediatric-specific facilities. That means most kids who come in with serious injuries or illness are seen in hospitals that primarily serve adults. So what does that mean? It means that general EDs need to be prepared to care for children effectively. Here's the challenge. Many emergency departments see very few pediatric patients. When pediatric patient volumes are low, it's harder to prioritize pediatric-specific training, equipment, and systems, as staff may not encounter pediatric cases often enough to maintain confidence and skills. This creates a gap, because when a critically ill child does arrive, the team needs to be ready. Improving pediatric readiness relies on understanding current gaps, and this is where quality improvement comes in. Pediatric readiness means having the people, process, and resources in place to provide high-quality care. The goal is simple. Every child should receive safe, timely, and effective care, no matter where they show up. Pediatric readiness isn't just a checklist, it's a commitment to quality care. Next. The National Pediatric Readiness Project, or the NPRP, empowers emergency departments to improve their capability to provide high-quality care for children, also known as being pediatric ready. This is led by the Health Resources and Services Administration's EMSC program with support from multidisciplinary organizations. The NPRP offers a free and open access assessment opportunity, as well as resources to address gaps. Quality improvement is the key driver in pediatric readiness. Facilities that incorporate pediatric-specific quality improvement initiatives demonstrate an average increase of 26 points on their 100-point scale. Hospitals that improve their pediatric readiness see significant benefits. For example, there's a 76% lower mortality risk in children, and an estimated 2,143 children's lives are saved across the U.S. every year. These numbers show how critical readiness is. Next. Now that we've talked about why pediatric readiness matters, let's look at how we can actually improve it. This pathway shows the steps emergency departments can take to strengthen readiness using the national assessment, data, and improvement efforts. The first step is to prepare, get your ED leadership involved, and review the NPRP checklist and toolkit. Then you're ready to take the assessment, a tool to assess your ED's pediatric capabilities and identify gaps. You can complete the open assessment today and see your ED's pediatric readiness score in preparation for the 2026 National Assessment Period. Then we review progress. This opportunity is for you to look at your scores, benchmark against national standards, and identify areas for improvement. After reviewing, we move to improvement. This is where your ED can implement change, whether that's adding pediatric champions, refining processes, or using quality improvement strategies. Once improvements are in place, your ED can get recognized for their efforts. State-run pediatric readiness recognition programs help highlight your commitment to pediatric care and encourage continued progress. And finally, keep it up. Pediatric readiness isn't a one-time project. It's an ongoing process with regular assessment and continuous improvement. This pathway gives EDs a clear roadmap to ensure that every child receives the best possible emergency care.
Thank you, Casey. So I do see some familiar names on the call today, but I also see some new names, so welcome. For those of you that are new to NPRQI, I did want to share some information about who we are and how we support pediatric readiness. The National Pediatric Readiness is a free self-paced platform. It's a quality improvement platform designed for emergency departments. What it does is it helps EDs to measure, reflect, and improve their performance on key pediatric processes in a secure way. One of the biggest benefits of NPRQI is that it gives hospitals a clear framework for continuous quality improvement, which is really essential for improving pediatric readiness and making sure that kids get the best care possible, which is obviously all of us want that. But here's why this tool is so important. It helps EDs to track their progress while they're actually implementing their quality improvement projects. Without NPRQI, it's really hard to know if the changes that you're making are actually moving the needle toward pediatric readiness. Ultimately, NPRQI is designed to inform and empower frontline staff so that they have the insights and the tools to make the needed improvements. So quality improvement really is about a systemic, continuous actions that are going to measurably improve care. And part of NPRQI is the premise that you really can't improve something that you don't understand and that you can't see. We know that pediatric readiness is one of the leading drivers related to quality improvement. We had mentioned earlier about 85% of kids are seen in general EDs that don't have any specialization in pediatric emergency care. And we also know that when EDs implement quality improvement, there's a potential mortality risk reduction of up to 76%. This visualization represents the implementation flow of NPRQI for a path to better pediatric emergency care. It begins with accessing our free and secure web-based platform. You're able to capture pediatric patient encounters. From there, you can visualize your data so you can really measure and assess your performance and really identify strategies that can help transform that data. Once you implement those quality improvement strategies, you can then go back to the dashboard, reflect on your performance over time, and see if what you're doing is actually aligning with high pediatric readiness strategies. And if you're off the mark a little bit, what's really nice about NPRQI is that you can tweak a lot of those strategies that you're doing, and again, go back and see if what you're doing is making a difference. With NPRQI, there are 7 clinical conditions. These are the most common clinical conditions that are seen at kids in general EDs. The emphasis is placed on common presentations. We also offer evidence-based measures that are tailored to rural and lower volume EDs. So we had some subject matter experts that we worked with over a period of about 18 months. And so these experts were from a variety of recognized fields all across the United States. These individuals really helped us to hone in what would be the most relevant clinical conditions that would be seen in the emergency departments. And then what would be the most important measures to be able to track to move the needle on pediatric readiness. So before we continue, I wanted to just have a brief pause, allow for any questions that folks might have around NPRQI. You're welcome to unmute or put your questions in the chat. We also will have some time at the end of our presentation today to take questions as well. I am going to hand things off to Dr. Sonia Desai, who's going to share some information about data sampling as it relates to NPRQI.
Thanks, Lisa. So I wanted to chat a little bit today about what we are asking from sites or hospitals or EDs in terms of a commitment to enter data into NPRQI. Our platform collects manual data entry on key aspects of your patient's encounter from triage to disposition. And we recognize that a lot of you that are working with us at NPRQI have many other commitments. And so our goal is to be flexible and kind of meet you where you are and meet your needs at your ED. Next slide. We just wanted to chat through what starting out with NPRQI would look like. So for a conversation about the platform, the minimum of 10 patients is needed for us to be able to see any sort of output from our performance dashboards. And I'll go through a couple of the different views that we have on our dashboards. We have a table view, which we can use for benchmarking. We have a graphical view that you can use to monitor your performance over time. But we can only show you information for every 10 patients that you enter. So think about that as kind of the minimum threshold that is needed, either on a monthly or a quarterly basis. And what we ask hospitals to do is when they join NPRQI to enter at least 30 patient charts. And you could, that period could sample a few days, weeks, months, or quarters, and then meet with our NPRQI team and make a plan about where you should go from there. NPRQI does require a commitment to ongoing data entry because quality improvement requires us to track performance on measures over time. But the goal of this session is to help you figure out what an appropriate commitment is for your ED. So we don't require a certain number of charts per month. We certainly don't require you to enter every patient. But what I'm going to talk through is the idea of sampling data from your site so that you can get a reasonable representation of your site's performance without entering a ton of data. Next slide, please. Keep going, Lisa. So one of the things about QI that I think we don't emphasize very often is a kind of motto of QI is to not let perfect be the enemy of the good. And so we recognize that QI is often conducted in environments that don't prioritize it or allow for time and effort and space for people to commit themselves to this work. And most people who conduct QI also have a number of other obligations. And so we, as part of NPRQI, also want you to be realistic and thoughtful about how much time you can commit to this work and help you kind of sample patients effectively to enter into our platform. Sampling is great because you can actually capture a representation of what is happening in your ER by collecting a small subset of patients. And that could be whatever makes sense to you. It could be 10 patients a month. It could be 10 patients a week. It could be 10 patients a quarter. Going back to that number of 10, because again, that's the unit at which we're able to see things over time. It could be 30 patients a month. It could be 50 patients a month, whatever you feel like you can do. But we want you to be able to choose those patients in a way that doesn't introduce bias into the system. And so we'll talk a little bit about a specific approach called systematic data sampling, where you enter every 5th patient, every 10th patient, whatever makes sense in terms of how many you want to enter, rather than cherry picking your patients, so that the sample that we are seeing is actually representative of what's happening in your ED. Next slide, please. So again, talking about why sampling data. So it's obviously efficient. It's less effort, less charts entered. It's feasible. If you sample in a systematic or unbiased manner, it allows you to really make meaningful conclusions about how care is delivered in your ED without entering every patient into the system. And we also want to talk to you all about picking the simplest and most reasonable approach for you. So next slide. These are the various data sampling techniques that are typically used. We recommend that hospitals or EDs use systematic data sampling, as I mentioned before. And so what that would look like is you would choose, get a list of your patients from the last month, arrange them in chronological order. And then, if you have, say, 100 patients, but you only feel like you have time to enter 10 patients that month, go down that list and select every 10th patient. If you feel like you can see, 20 patients a month, you can select 15 patients or 20, every 5th patient from that list. So going in an order that's systematic allows us to pick a relatively non-biased sample. It's time efficient. It's not that fancy. You don't need to use any sort of software to do random sampling. And you want to be very careful when you're doing systematic sampling to not just pick patients that are seen every 7th day. Like, you don't want to just pick patients who are seen on Mondays and Wednesdays or only on night shift, because if you think about choosing those patients, there may be factors that are related to those specific days or those specific shifts that make that sample that you choose less representative of your entire population. And so you want to be sure to do something that's really not biased. Pick every 5th patient, pick every 10th patient, whatever makes sense for your ED. There are a few other, I see there's a question from me. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, when you mentioned printing out your list of pediatric patients, do you suggest filtering them for the 5 or 7 exemplars, so only pulling the vomiting, respiratory, seizure patients?
Yeah, so that is really dependent, again, on what your ED would like to do. I think if your ED is new to NPRQI, we ask that you begin by entering selecting from all your patients. Because if you look at our assessment bundle, the kind of core bundle or the core measures that are part of NPRQI, they really apply to how you provide care to any pediatric patient that comes into your ED. So we recommend for any hospital that's joining NPRQI for the first time to cast a very wide net and sample from all your patients. Do about 30 charts for that. So we have sites that are like, yeah, I could take a month's worth of data, do 30 charts, and then meet with us and look at your dashboard. And if you find, oh yeah, we're crushing it on all these measures, we're doing really great, then our team can sit with you and say, okay, how about we sample your head trauma patients next? And that's when you can move on. I would recommend moving on to some of those more specific diagnoses. Do you want to work with adolescents with SI? Do you want to work with head trauma? But for purposes of starting NPRQI, we recommend at least starting with a baseline of 30 patients, whether that's over a month, a quarter, whatever that makes sense. sample from all of them and look at how you're performing on the core measures first. I don't know if that answered your
So just
question.
yeah, just to clarify, so we will be entering then like finger lacks and stitches
Yeah.
on lips.
Yeah.
But there won't be that many criteria that you'll be auditing for. Like it won't be medical, you won't be giving antiemetics or any needs for scans.
Yeah, agreed. So we would ask you to sample your entire patient population to start. And actually, I'll show you what our core measure table looks like. It's really basic. Like, did you do the weight in kilograms? Was pain assessed on every pediatric patient? If the patient was an ESI of 1, 2, or 3, did a full set of vital signs get taken? So it's really basic triage and assessment stuff. Which is really the best place for most EDs to start. Now, if you find yourself beating our averages for national and your comparative hospitals, then we could sit down and say, okay, what is your ED wanting to work on, right? So if you were doing great on those measures and you wanted to work on head trauma or trauma patients, then yes, absolutely. The next step would be we only filter out by trauma diagnoses. Or if you wanted to look at suicide screening, you only pick your adolescents. But we say, let's start with every patient first, get a baseline of how you're performing, and then kind of move into those subset categories. And the reason we really say that is prior to NPRQI, these measures, I mean, these were all created de novo, or they're new measures that are created for us. So most EDs actually don't know how well they're doing on a lot of these. And so there are a lot of blind spots that surprise a lot of people that thought, oh my gosh, we have got to be getting pain on every patient. But if you look at those kids under 2, you really aren't. And so identifying those blind spots is how we recommend starting. Okay, do you want to go to the next slide? I just wanted to talk through what an example of a hospital working with us would look like. So this is somebody who starts out, made up the name, Rite Aid Hospital, sees about 2,500 pediatric patients every year. That's a medium volume hospital. There's a lot of interest in working on pediatric readiness, but like many of our hospitals, there aren't dedicated pediatric champions. There's no quality improvement expert. Really, our resource is targeted for folks like you. Next slide. So what we ask is registering with us and then entering those 30 charts to establish your baseline data. So you could go back a month, a quarter, whatever you feel comfortable, and then doing that systematic sampling so that you can get us roughly 30 charts. And then meet with us. We do one-on-one office hours twice a month, where we have 20-minute time slots with our NPRQI team, and it's usually our coordinators and QI experts. And we'll sit with you and we'll look at your performance on the core NPRQI measures. And we'll have a conversation with you about what it makes sense for you to focus on. And so if you go to the next slide, Lisa. This is, an example of what our performance dashboard looks like. This is the table view of the dashboard. We selected by bundle. So this is our core measure bundle. And as I was referring to, these measures are pretty, basic and apply to any patient that could come through your ER. And so answering how you perform on these, that's that first column. The second column is the national performance. So this is the average performance of all 130-ish hospitals that have entered data into NPRQI. And then you have your cohort performance. So your cohort performance is intended to reflect how hospitals like you are performing. So it's not fair to compare a rural hospital to a children's hospital, for example. So the cohorts are determined by how many pediatric patients you see a year. This hospital sees a medium volume, so 1,800 to 5,000 patients. And that is your cohort. So your cohort is other hospitals that see that range of pediatric patients. And so if you look at this table view, you'll see that This hospital is doing really well on that first measure. So percentage of patients with weight documented in kilos, this hospital has a 96% performance rate, which is much higher than the national or cohort performance. But if you look at the pain assessment, their pain assessment is at 54%, which is significantly lower than both the national and cohort performance. Next slide, please. So in meeting with our team, we would highlight that with you and say, what would it look like? Would it make sense for your ER to focus on pain assessment as your first quality initiative? And no quality initiative is worth pursuing unless there's buy-in from the people doing it. And so you are the expert for your ER. You would know if this is the right approach or if this is the right topic. And then we could help you. We have a kind of library of resources that we could provide to think through what interventions could you perform to see if there's an improvement. Would you want to do more education, new policies? Do you have potential to optimize your EHR? These are just kind of examples of interventions that you might implement. And then the question comes up is, okay, I did all these things, right? I've been doing this work, but are my changes actually working? And so that's where, next slide, please. And so that's where the NPRQI graphical view can be very helpful. So the graph view allows you to track your performance over time. Each data point, each dot on this graph represents a minimum of 10 patients. So that's where the sampling comes in again. If you enter 10 patients a month, you could get a monthly graph. So you could get a point for every month. If you enter not enough, but you enter 10 a quarter, then you can get a quarterly graph. So this site has entered at least 10 patients a quarter. They have a quarterly graph, and you can see that they started out around 40%. I'm going to hit the next button. I think it's annotated. Maybe they did some education. They had a new policy. Their numbers went up to 60, and then it started to drift back down. So maybe it's time to do EMR optimization or another thing. And so this is kind of QI in action in a way that NPRQI will do all the calculations and the plotting for you. And you can access this performance dashboard over time and just see how you're doing relative to what interventions you've tried. And so this graph view can tell you, okay, I need to go back and do something more, or actually, no, I'm hitting a really good steady state, and now maybe I can move on to something else.
And Sonia, I just wanted to mention that as EDs are actually implementing their quality improvement strategies, as they're kind of doing what we call the PDSA cycle, it doesn't have to be anything that's long and extensive. I mean, this could be, you could implement a strategy on education for a couple of shifts, and then continue to enter data as you are implementing that strategy to see if you're actually making a difference. And if that line is not improving, that's an opportunity for you to come back to your team, do some more analysis and really kind of figure out, do we need to tweak what we're doing with education? Do we need to do something else in addition to education? And really just think about, what are all of the different strategies that could be used to optimize your pediatric emergency care performance. But again, it doesn't have to be something that's 3 months long. This chart is showing in quarters, but you could do something that's a month long if you wanted to. Good questions.
I also want to highlight the office hours that we use. This is exactly what these are meant to do. We know that folks who want to do this work don't have the time or equipment or kind of the resources to do it. And so our goal is to sit with you and talk through what makes sense for your site to work on. Where should you start? How much can you do? We can help you with data sampling, but we can also help you with ideas for interventions to try next. If you feel like you're hitting a saturation point and you're not going to go beyond a certain number, when is it time to move on to the next thing? We love helping folks with that. And so highly recommend joining those to chat with us.
Great. Thank you, Sonia. I'm going to hand things over back again to Casey Patika. She is going to share some information about an upcoming quality improvement collaborative that's going to be launching soon, which is another kind of great add to any quality improvement work.
Thank you, Lisa. We are excited to share this important opportunity for emergency departments. It's really in addition to your utilization of NPRQI and the NPRQI office hours. We are launching the EMSC NPRQI Collaborative, formerly known as the PRQC, in January of 2026. Again, this is in addition to your utilization of the platform and offering you support during that quality improvement process. This initiative is completely free and is designed to support you in deepening your quality improvement work, strengthening pediatric readiness, and collaborating with other emergency departments from across the nation. The EMSC NPRQI Collaborative is designed to give every ED the flexibility to focus on what matters most for their patients while providing support and resources. You'll choose one of our 4 clinical areas of focus: pain assessment, abnormal vital sign reassessment, head trauma, or suicide assessment and management, which utilize one or more of the NPRQI's quality measures. And you won't be doing it alone. We provide free coaching and NPRQI platform support with that access to real-time dashboards and national benchmarking, as well as professional development credits. You'll also have access to collaborative sessions and fireside chats with pediatric readiness and quality improvement experts, plus peer connections with EDs like yours. Go to the next slide, Lisa. So joining, hope that it's a straightforward process with built-in support for every step from registration through sustainability. Each phase is designed to make participation manageable and meaningful. You can start by engaging your emergency department leadership and staff, sharing our promotional flyers, and we have some talking points to help you spread the word and get your team excited about this opportunity to improve pediatric readiness. If you're new to NPRQI, you'll first register for the platform and share with us that you are interested in participating in the collaborative, and you can join anytime between now and January next year. If you already have an NPRQI account, I ask that you email us at collaboratives@emscimprovement.center to enroll. And we'll share that with you in the chat in a minute. And once you're signed up, you can begin assembling your project team, making sure to involve your ED's PEC early, as they'll be a key in championing pediatric readiness from the start, adding members who represent different roles in your ED, from nurses, physicians, administrative staff, child life, quality improvement specialists, or health informatics specialists, just to name a few. You can get started today utilizing the EMSC NPRQI Collaborative Flyer to help spread the word and sign up with NPRQI, and then start building your team. And remember, we're here to provide guidance and help make this a successful experience for you and your ED. So if you have any questions, you can join us for office hours. I'll be there as well to help answer any questions, either about the platform itself or getting your POA submitted and preparing for the collaborative. So I appreciate your time and attention today, and we hope to see you next January for the EMSC NPRQI Collaborative.
Thank you, Casey. For folks that have never participated in any type of quality improvement activity, these collaboratives are really like a master's class, because you are able to meet monthly with some of the most renowned pediatric emergency physicians across the US. So you have these subject matter experts that are really helping you to incorporate quality improvement into your emergency department. They're there to answer any of your questions. They want to hear what sites are doing to get a better understanding of what challenges sites may be experiencing around quality improvement. They're there to help problem solve some of those issues. So I highly recommend sites sign up for the collaborative. It's a great way to really get a better understanding of how all of this works. And it's really, you get, Casey and I will be there. Sonia will probably be popping in occasionally, along with some of our other subject matter experts. But you really have an opportunity to have someone walk you through the process, and then you get to take that back to your emergency team, and you all are able to do the work there. And then you come back the next month. You can do some information sharing about how it's going at your site, learn from other sites, and it's also an opportunity to engage in some peer-to-peer support. Hear what other teams are doing and being able to, really appreciate and understand of like, oh yeah, I went through that last year. This is what we did that really helped us kind of get over that hump. So it's a great way to learn some tips and tricks too. So, questions about what we have covered up to this point? I know it's quite a bit of information. Again, you're welcome to put your questions in the chat, or you can unmute. Okay, I did want to share a little bit of information about how NPRQI can support your quality improvement efforts. One of the biggest ways that NPRQI supports ED's quality improvement efforts is by providing hospitals with a clear framework for continuous quality improvement, which again is essential for improving pediatric readiness and making sure that kids get the best care possible. And again, I can't emphasize why this tool is so important is because as you saw through the charts that Sonia was sharing, is that EDs can actually track their progress as they are actually implementing their quality improvement projects. So usually within 24 to 48 hours after you have entered in data into the data platform, it's already there for you to visualize.
This is
Uh,
Timber. I'm from Deaconess Union County Hospital in
Hey, Timber.
Morganfield, Kentucky. Yes, I had a question.
Sure.
So we're a very small rural facility. Whenever I do my sampling to decide who I want to do enter into the database, my patients, I normally like pick all my transferred pediatric patients and any of my ESI level ones and two pediatric patients. Is this type me doing this, is this recommended, or should I do more of like the systematic sampling where I choose like every fifth patient or every ninth patient, etc.?
Timber, I think it would be a really good idea to broaden your sampling scope and choose from all the patients that come to your ER, particularly because kind of the philosophy around pediatric readiness and NPRQI is that there are ways that we should treat patients that apply to every child, not just our sickest ones. And so, for example, assessing pain on every child, including your level 4s and 5s, is a standard of care in pediatrics. And so that's where you can often find really low-hanging fruit and things that you can make better by really looking at all your patients, not just your sickest ones. So we'd be happy to chat with you one-on-one, but if you would be open to kind of broadening that scope, no, you don't have to enter more patients, just sample from a larger pool to get started. Obviously, if you were just interested in traumas or suicidality or any of the one bundles, then we could direct you in that regard. But yeah, I'd recommend sampling everyone. And Norma, thanks for that feedback. I think we definitely can make that a little bit more clear up front as well for folks.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Again, just to reiterate, quality improvement is really all about using data to inform meaningful and actionable change. And NPRQI really helps to simplify this process, again, by offering those set metrics, customizable dashboards. We provide support resources that really enables all EDs of all pediatric patient sizes to participate. And again, even without any quality improvement experience or any data entry experience. We also mentioned that, it's really hard to improve what you don't understand. And NPRQI is an amazing tool that really kind of transforms what you are doing in your emergency department. It really helps to visualize basically your system of care that you have in your ED. And as Sonia had mentioned before, a lot of times sites will join NPRQI and they think that they have a sense of like, hey, I know this is how we're doing on this. And then once they see their dashboard, they're like, wow, I did not expect that. So it can be very enlightening. So really kind of understanding the data is going to be the first step in terms of quality improvement. As Casey had mentioned before, we do offer NPRQI office hours. We provide personalized quality improvement coaching. Sonia is there, Casey and I are there, and we also have another quality improvement subject matter expert that's there. We will work with sites in terms of like optimizing their chart sampling strategies, really kind of streamline data entry, helping them to unlock insights from their performance dashboards and really kind of identifying some of those high impact areas for focus or maybe an easy win to really get that additional buy-in. And again, offering that tailored QI coaching for the intervention strategies. I did want to take another opportunity to emphasize how important data is to make a measurable impact in the quality of care. NPRQI really helps EDs to transform their pediatric data into meaningful pediatric quality improvement. NPRQI is built on the three core pillars that you see here, the measure, the reflect, and improve. This interconnected model empowers teams to deliver better outcomes for every child. We do have some marketing resources, some information that we can share with you. Some sites are like, yes, sign me up, but I need to talk to my leadership. So we have a resource for that. We have an ED leadership and C-suite promo package. So these are already pre-made emails that you copy and paste and said, hey, I attended this really amazing webinar. I would love for us to get involved in this. So you just copy paste and send it off. And of course, we've got our NPRQI website, in addition to the flyer for the upcoming collaborative. We also have a nifty quick start enrollment guide, as well as some additional information about NPRQI. And again, just wanted to pause for some questions. I know we've covered a lot of material. I did want to emphasize that what's really nice about NPRQI is that sites make it their own. As Sonia had mentioned early, we don't dictate how many charts you should be entering, how much time you should be spending doing this stuff. It's really all about what is going to be feasible for your site. Some sites have the ability to have staff with protected time to do this work. I would say the majority of the sites that are participating in NPRQI do not fall into that category. Often the people that are participating in NPRQI are passionate about what they're doing, and they will work in 2 hours a week to try to get some of this stuff done. I know that when we've done either office hours or we've done some of these other webinars and we visit with folks, some of these folks aren't even on shift. They are, so into the quality improvement and really helping to improve pediatric health outcomes, that they're all in. And so we definitely acknowledge and respect that and appreciate the time and the talent and the passion that folks bring to this type of work. So we just ask that you make this your own and make it how it works best for you. We have some sites that they have multiple people participate. Somebody will pull the chart, somebody will do the data entry, and then another person will pull down the charts and share with the rest of the team. Some folks, I talked with a site in Texas. They are a participating site, and this was a great example of the little engine that could. This is a small rural community ED. They had signed up for NPRQI, and I think almost 6 months had gone by, and they had yet to enter any data. Yet the chief nursing officer would chime in on office hours. And she's like, I want to do this. I want to get this started, but I think I need to get some help. And so we started doing some problem solving with her. And we're like, well, if you're a designated trauma center, how do you get your trauma data entered? She goes, well, I've got somebody that does our night shift and he does that. And I was like, well, maybe that's a great person that can do the data entry for NPRQI. And that was an amazing solution for them. And they started rocking and rolling on their data entry. So just to kind of wrap everything up, we do have a QR code here that links to the registration. I did want to mention that we are launching a new system beginning in January. So this QR code will take you to that new registration link. We are so excited about launching this new system. We've been working in our existing system that has been hosted by a third-party vendor. We have listened to the feedback of our existing participants, and we have been able to implement a lot of the recommendations that those participants have provided over the last couple of years. And so we are really looking forward to launching the updated version. So again, this QR code will take you to that registration. And there is a participant organization agreement that is required for sites to participate. Since we do have the collaborative that is launching in January and participation in NPRQI is part of the collaborative, you need to be registered for both and you have to have that participant organization agreement. Most sites can usually get that signed internally within 30 days or less, but we do know that some sites take a little bit longer. So if this is something that you're really interested in, I encourage you all to access the registration link, download the participant organization agreement, and get that routed as soon as possible. Another thing is that UT is going to be closed for the holidays in December. So there will be a period of time where we will not be processing any contracts. So as soon as you can get those in, all the better. And we really do hope that you make a decision to join NPRQI so that you can get better data, you can make better decisions, and ultimately provide better pediatric emergency care. And I don't have a slide on this, but for those of you all that are current users of NPRQI, I did want to share that January 31st, 2026 is going to be the last day to enter your 2025 data. Just as a reminder, and we'll start sending out communication about that as well. So just an FYI, any of your 2025 pediatric patient encounters, all of those need to be entered by January 31st. What questions do folks have about anything that we have talked about? I know there's been a couple of really great questions. If you go to our website, you will be able to see all of the measures associated with NPRQI. If you go to the EMSC NPRQI collaborative website, you'll be able to see the specific areas of focus that Casey was talking about. Happy to hang around just for a few more minutes to answer any questions that folks may have. Again, thank you everyone for taking time out of your day to join us for NPRQI.
No.
Hey, Heather, did you have a question?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was trying to grab some screenshots from the chat. I'm
Okay.
so sorry.
No worries. No worries at all.